This upcoming week is like fueling the rocket. Next week is like the rocket launch. I'll be giving more of a sneak peek into next week at the end of the video, so make sure you check that out after you watch your horoscope. This week is kind of an extension of this last week that we've had, but a little more mental. So it feels like this whole year so far, this whole calendar year so far, because next year we have, or sorry, not next year, next week on the 17th, we have the Lunar New Year, and which is actually when the energy starts to majorly shift into a new year. But so far in 2026, this new calendar year, it feels like we've been shedding different layers of ourselves. Like the week before last, we were really physically tired. We were shedding something in our body. And then this past week, I feel like it has been emotional shedding, and then this upcoming week is more of the mental shedding. It's kind of like an onion. Like we've been peeling away all these layers of ourselves that have needed release in big ways for a really long time because they were really rooted into our identity with Chiron and Aries over the past 7 years. And all that has been drudged up so that we step into a new version of ourselves, that we really get into the nitty gritty of healing, which has especially been a focus since September, October of 2025, and into now, with Jupiter squaring Chiron. And that has really dredged things up from deep underneath the surface in our subconscious, for us to heal, for us to shift, so we don't take it with us into the new chapter that we are all in transition of right now. I just moved to a new state. I've been meeting new people here, and it feels like and seems like everyone is in such similar phases of life right now. Everyone is kind of going through the same stuff, in various ways because we all have different charts, but it's like new job, I'm moving states, I'm moving like abroad, or I'm moving back to my home country after living abroad. It's like I'm starting a business, I'm completely switching careers. It's like everyone is kind of in this major transition right now, and it's all coming to the surface for a reason at the moment, and we are all in that transition for a reason because these outer planet shifts really represent what we're focused on as a collective and what we are stepping into a new chapter around as a collective and as a society. And this is going to have such a massive ripple effect into the rest of our world, for generations. The last time Saturn and Neptune was conjunct was in Capricorn. It was in 1989, and not long after the Soviet Union collapsed. Like we had such the Berlin Wall came down, like we had such massive upheaval and change, from the old structures. And that is very Saturn Neptune. It's kind of the meeting of the dreamy, the meeting of the illusions, and being finally sober about them and being dedicated and committed to seeing things really clearly. And in Aries, the sign of the warrior, the sign of the pioneer, the sign of identity and sense of self, we are all stepping massively into a new chapter, more authentic to ourselves, our path, our desires, our bravery and courage than ever before. Now, I talked really deeply about the Saturn Neptune conjunction and my predictions for these planets' movements through Aries in my membership community. So come join if you want to take that class. The replay lives in my membership, as well as like 30 plus other classes I have taught on astrology and human design. I do transit updates in there. I'm currently hosting this astrology time live in my membership, and next week we are doing a class that will go into my astrocartography course that you get as a member of my membership. We are going to talk about the planet lines, specifically the planet lines that are on your AC, ascendant, or descendant. So if you are into astrocartography and you look up certain planet lines and they say AC or DC. That's because that planet at that location sits on your ascendant or sits on your descendant. And we're going to be doing a class on that on Wednesday in my membership this upcoming Wednesday, which I think is the 11th. So come join if you want to take the astrocartography course and be a part of it while we're doing it live, get to ask questions about your chart, and access the other classes in my astrocartography course that I have taught previously, all the way from beginner to intermediate and more advanced. So that's what's going on this week, is we're all making massive changes to our lives in ways that are needed. And we are fully stepping into those this week and especially next week. But this week is the major transition into the new, because we have Saturn moving into Aries this week on Friday the 13th. Very serendipitous that Saturn moves into Aries the first time since May of 2025 on Friday the 13th. So very interesting energy. We're also going to have the sun in Aquarius challenging Uranus and Taurus on that day as well. So really, like I said, we're fueling the rocket to get ready for it to launch. That is the energy, especially as we end out this upcoming week. Really Thursday, Friday, and into the weekend it's time to really shift gears and to really be moving forward. And leading up to Thursday and Friday this week, we are kind of doing, like I was saying, a mental purge in order to get more clarity mentally related to the things that we're doing and how we're moving forward, because we've already purged everything else that we needed to leading up to this week. So with that, is there anything else I want to say about this week? Let me know where you have Aries in your chart, what was coming up for you last year when we had Saturn and Neptune in Aries for most of the summer. They were pretty close to being conjunct for most of the summer. So let me know what was coming up for you. This is something I also meant to mention about Saturn, Neptune, and Aries. We haven't had this specific conjunction at 0 degrees of Aries, where it's going to be, for 9,000 plus years. It could be anywhere from 9,000 to 12,000. I haven't deep dived and I couldn't find any information. It took enough work to find out that the last time we had one close to 0 degrees was actually at 2 degrees of Aries. It was a Saturn Neptune conjunction at 2 degrees of Aries, and that was 593 BC, I believe, or 594. And I talk about that and more about the last time we had a Saturn Neptune conjunction in 1989. That was in Capricorn. In the class, I taught on this in my membership as well. But that just goes to show you how rare this transit is and how rare the time period we all are living and collectively a part of this change is as well. So, yeah, I think that's all I want to say about the transits of this week and the massive changes that are on the horizon. It's really like we're all climbing a big mountain right now. I used to live in Colorado and I did a lot of 14ers is what they call them, mountains that are over 14,000 feet high. And when you're climbing one of those and you're so like you're on the trail and you're so in it, there's a lot of false summits. And you're looking ahead and you're thinking, oh, is that the summit? Turns out it's just a rock pile. Oh, is that the summit? Turns out it's just another rock pile to climb. Is that the summit? Turns out it's just another rock pile, right? And there's a few of those before you get to the actual summit or the top of the mountain. And that's kind of where we're at right now. And each one teaches us a different thing. Like I was saying, we've been purging these different levels of our system over these past few weeks. But it really feels like we're going to reach the summit of the mountain by the end of this week and into next week. So I'm really freaking stoked. Okay, let's get into the horoscopes. Hi, Aries Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your resources, your finances. There may be some major change that you're wanting to take or act on about your financial picture related to what has changed or is changing about your long term goals, your visions, maybe something with social media, your community, your friend groups, and how that's all tying into your resources, your money, your financial picture. So there could be some things that you're just more solidifying earlier in the week about what to shift there. As we head into Tuesday, the emotional focus shifts onto your perspective, how you view the world around you. Maybe even your belief systems are getting kind of overhaul as well. There could be some emotional clarity around that and around where you're headed with everything, but that also could challenge majorly some subconscious belief that you had been holding on to that comes up for you to realize and look at. Okay, do I really want to keep living this way or viewing this about life? As we head into Wednesday, there's a lot of emotional harmony between you healing something in your identity, maybe some reoccurring wound that you've been facing over the past few years, especially the last few months, and how that ties into your perspective of life, your mindset. That might also give you some clarity on what to shift about your long-term goals or visions, or what to take action on as it relates to that, to move in this new direction. Thursday, early on Thursday, there could be some emotional challenge or conflict between what's changing about your perspective, and also something you're needing to be really disciplined as it relates to your mental health, your kind of healing or looking at subconscious things. There could be something that challenges you to get really disciplined with meditation or breath work or past life regression, or really kind of motivates you to establish a more routine or schedule or discipline with taking care of your mental health and your subconscious and your subconscious. Later on Thursday, the emotional focus shifts into your career, your public image. There could be a lot of things that you're realizing you want to do and start taking action on, as we end out the week. But also that could challenge something about how you've been viewing yourself, especially on Friday. There's some awakening that you might have around a new version of you that you need to step into or have been stepping into, that just feels more solid, more embodied, more integrated. Also, there could be something coming up around that of like needing to discipline yourself to this new version of you, and live from that as opposed to who you were before. As we head into Saturday, there could be some emotional conflict or challenge between your career, or your public image in some way, and also wounds around your identity that you've been working on healing. There's a lot of activation of those this week. And again, it's just like we've been talking about the final purge, it's clearing things even more so, that you maybe didn't realize were still there, to heal so that you don't move forward with them into this major new chapter that you are starting and taking action towards over the weekend. Sunday feels like a big emotional transformation related to all of that. There could really be this feeling of coming out of the fog, of, like I was saying in the beginning, like summiting the mountain, like you're really feeling this momentum towards a new beginning and your new chapter related to, a new version of you, Aries. So that is your week ahead. Let me know how that resonates in the comments. I love to hear from you about what is showing up and how accurate this was for you. So let me know, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Taurus Rising. A lot of change solidifying in your identity and your sense of self this week. And we start off with that on Monday, being kind of put on you maybe emotionally. There's maybe some emotional tension between your relationships or a marriage. This could be any relationship in your life, doesn't have to be your romantic partner, but it's going to add tension to what's changing about you, your sense of self, your identity. And both of those things could feel challenging to what is going on in your career or your public image that you're shifting, that you're taking action on, that you're realizing you want to step into. So there could be something around that on Monday, that really forces you to maybe navigate or look at things differently than you would have before. Tuesday, the emotional focus moves onto your shared resources, debt, taxes, inheritances. This could be a day where you're doing your taxes. If you're the kind of person to do them early, that could be, this could be a good day to focus on those. But it also feels like it challenges your ability to put time and energy and attention to your community. Your friend groups could also maybe challenge your career in some way or propel you to look at something differently within your career or your public image, your long term goals, visions. It could really challenge you to look at things differently as it relates to where you're headed and who you have with you on that journey. Wednesday, there's emotional harmony between your areas of the subconscious, mental health, healing something there, and what's going on with shared resources. So, Tuesday through Thursday, there's a big emotional focus on shared resources. Like I said, debt, taxes, inheritances, investments. Could also be on your psychological transformation or a kind of spiritual awakening. Is what that could feel like as well. And it's going to positively later on Wednesday heal something within your subconscious related to what's been going on um, around that has contributed to maybe this identity shift in you as well. Thursday, there could be something that emotionally challenges you with your long term goals, visions, or community. There could be some argument or something like that. Maybe like a revisitation of one that happened or came up on Tuesday or Wednesday. It feels like there's just something you need to kind of commit yourself to as it relates to maybe social media or long term goals or visions or your friendships and your community, kind of like a different having a different approach to that that's more committed, that's more steadfast in what you're doing and how you're going about doing it. Then later on Thursday, the emotional focus shifts into your perspective. There could be something about whatever came up earlier in the week that's giving you a new vantage point on life and what you're doing. There could be something that really challenges you emotionally and brings about some clarity in your subconscious, in your mental space, brings light to something you didn't see was there or happening before. And then we have Saturn moving into your area of mental health. So there's a big need for you to really get clear, soberingly clear on spiritual practices or mental health practices that you really need to be committed to and disciplined with at this time and moving forward with. Saturday, there's emotional challenge or conflict between your perspective and those wounds that I was talking about that maybe have kind of been coming up in your subconscious. Again, there could be more that's triggered to light, that's illuminated for you to look at and kind of really shift in a major way. But it feels like Sunday, and as we end out the week, there's a lot of potential for emotional transformation and really kind of stepping into a more embodied version of this new you, of this new identity that you have been stepping into and making major changes around. It feels like as we end out the week, there's clarity and there's this feeling of like, okay, here it is. And it might be like a literal breakthrough. um as well that just kind of happens suddenly and unexpectedly. So that's your week ahead, Taurus. Let me know how that resonates with you. I love hearing from y'all about how accurate these are. So let me know how this was for you, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Gemini Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your work, your day to day schedule, maybe how you're balancing physical health and mental health as well. Things that might felt really busy these maybe this last week or last few days. And so it's kind of like, how am I navigating all of this in a way that really benefits me? There's also something you're being illuminated about your career, a new direction you've been heading with that, and maybe also some major changes happening related to all that to your perspective, to your worldview, and you're really seeing things differently and more clearly maybe than before. As we get into Tuesday, the emotional focus moves into your area of relationships, but it challenges something about your career. So there might be a hard conversation you have to have with a person in your life about career, or could, those two areas of your life are conflicting each other on Tuesday. And you might be emotionally pulled to focus on a relationship at the detriment of what's going on with work or career. And there's a need for you to maybe just set some clear boundaries or something like that in order to not be so pulled off of your center when things like that happen or come up. But as we get into Wednesday, there could be some major healing that happens for you around that, maybe through somebody in your life, whether it's who you had a disagreement with or somebody else really supporting you. It feels like there's a lot of healing that's coming through your community and from the people around you, and especially like with emotional support that you need around whatever has been challenging for you these last few weeks. Thursday, early on Thursday, there could be something that you revisit around what came up earlier in the week with relationships and career. And it feels like there's maybe some emotional challenge that really motivates you to commit yourself deeper to something in your career and really be disciplined with how you're stepping forward in that area and what you've maybe come even into a more greater sense of commitment with over the last 2 to 3 years and really solidify it in on Thursday. Then later on Thursday, the emotional focus shifts into your area of shared resources, and adds tension to expansion you've been experiencing in your own financial picture or your own resources. This could look like maybe needing to do taxes, or maybe you kind of unexpectedly have to pay some taxes, something like that. That is kind of this emotional push and pull between what practically you have to do and a way that you want to expand. And so that might also contribute to changing your financial goals a little bit, just so you have maybe more wiggle room moving forward. That could especially be the case on Saturday. Now, Saturn is in your area of community. So there's a big need for you to really commit yourself uh, to this vision that you've had that's been emerging. And maybe you've recently gotten clarity around as well how to move forward with social media, community in general, or your long term goals and visions to really build a solid foundation with it. And there could be something on Saturday, some emotional challenge between resources and what's going on, bringing up wounds, maybe with community or long term goals and visions related to an outdated identity. As we end the week, Sunday, the emotional focus is on transformation. So there could be something that really is building all week in you of like changing how you're viewing life. And it all solidifies by the end of the week. And it feels like this emotional breakthrough, of clarity, this emotional reprieve. And that could really challenge you as well, or illuminate something to be shifted in your subconscious, maybe related to beliefs, so that you shift how you're viewing the world around you and really seeing it differently than you had been before, so you can have this new beginning. That is the week ahead for you, Gemini. Let me know how that resonates in the comments. I love hearing from you about how accurate these are. So let me know, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Cancer Rising. Big things happening in your career, especially this week. But at the start of the week, the emotional focus is on your creative passions. There could be a breakthrough related to that, related to what you're creating, what you're wanting to put out into the world. It's also putting tension on your long term goals and visions that have been evolving and changing, and maybe even also what you're doing with or on social media and with your extended community and friend group. As we get into Tuesday, the emotional focus shifts into your day to day work, also on physical health. But there could be something you're really challenged to look at a belief system around and change as it relates to what you're doing daily for work and how you're committing yourself to that. It's really like stepping into, you're really kind of pushed or forced to step into this new path, and really view things differently than you have been before, especially as it relates to career and work and what you're doing. There could be something you really have to just choose to be disciplined with, as it relates to seeing things differently. Um, and maybe even like seeing your own worth as it's tied into that as well. Later in the week on Wednesday, the emotional focus, there's harmony between your emotional focus on work and something about that heals something in your image or your career. Maybe you've been healing a lot of wounds around identity as it relates to what you've done in career, and stepping into a whole new chapter with that. And so there is a lot of emotional support towards healing, a part of yourself that maybe saw you doing this one thing forever, and now it's like, okay, actually, you're changing your identity. related to how you want to be seen and known to the world. And there's a lot of support um, towards doing that and really solidifying it in more so than ever on Wednesday. Thursday, there could be something emotionally challenging though between your work and your discipline with stepping into this new way of viewing life. So there could be something that happens that really kind of forces you to stay in your faith and really forces you to stay in this new mindset you're cultivating as opposed to the way old you would have viewed things before. And then later on Thursday, the emotional focus moves on to your relationships and challenges something. How do I say that? There could be someone in your life on Thursday that kind of comes in unexpectedly and challenges you to maybe look at something differently with career or challenges you or there's a conflict, but it also helps you to get more clear about career in a maybe unexpected way. Let me know how that shows up for you because that is kind of specific. Friday, there's emotional tension between your relationships, the people around you, and how you're expanding in a new version of yourself. It's all tied into this career stuff. And also on Friday, we have Saturn moving into your area of career. So there's a big, brand new chapter beginning for you with career, how you're seen to the world, your reputation, your image. Um, and there may be something that's a little bit emotionally challenging between you and relationships that you have to maybe kind of balance or figure out how to balance in order to continue taking care of yourself in the ways that you need, that you've really been learning how to do more so than ever. Saturday, there could be something about relationships as well that challenges emotionally some wound of your in your career. This could be like, okay, an example of this doesn't have to be how it's going to be for everybody. It's the energy. You start posting content consistently and you get a really hateful, nasty comment. This is that kind of energy, and it's like it brings up something in you. Something in you is triggered so that you heal it and you handle it differently. For the longest time, I used to like spit it back at those people, and I've recently learned like just block that it's not allowed on my page. It's not how I would treat myself. It's not how I treat others. And I don't want that to be accepted. So it's kind of that energy of like you're gonna be handling it differently. And it might be something where it's like, oh, that's not as scary as I thought it was gonna be, or like you're just kind of detached from like maybe you had a big fear of that and you're, in facing it, it's like, okay, the line kind of backs down, right? And it really shifts your perspective on what you're doing. And then it feels like you end out the week with a big emotional transformation related to that. There could also be heightening sense of your intuition or your spiritual gifts. There could be something you get a lot of clarity around as it relates to something you've been kind of waiting for clarity around. Feels like the energy of breakthroughs as we end out the week so you can really move forward. Let me know how that resonates with you in the comments, Cancer Rising. I'd love hearing from you all and how accurate these are for you. So let me know, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Leo Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus in your home. There could be something about home that is really shifting for you, maybe related to career. Feels like there's kind of, both areas of your life are experiencing some tension right now. Kind of like a pressure cooker, and it feels like that tension is going to release later on Monday and even into Tuesday. It may bring about some clarity or about how you need to move forward with career or your public image, reputation in some way, maybe related to your physical home or related to family or childhood wounds. Um, big shifts, and it feels like that um, is really causing you to get clarity on something you majorly need to change or want to change. As we head into Tuesday, the emotional focus moves on to your passions, your creative passions. Could be dating, could be romance, but mostly on what you're doing, what you're creating, what you're doing that is a passion for you, and bringing more joy into your life. You're a Leo rising. Like there has to be joy in what you are doing. And you're realizing that later, like more and more this week as we get later into the week. And there could be something on Tuesday, early on Tuesday, that maybe is challenging about creation, like your ability to emotional focus on what you're creating and also on resources in some way or taxes or debt or something. Um, but that is a temporary kind of frustration that probably motivates you to actually do what it is you want to step into creatively or actually pursue this passion that you maybe have been kind of put on the back burner. Wednesday, it feels like whatever happened on Tuesday could contribute to some big emotional healing and change in your perspective and how you're viewing life later on Wednesday. And that kind of leads you into a big realization later, well, early on Thursday, later on Wednesday and into Thursday, this bigger realization of committing yourself and disciplining yourself to really maybe trusting your intuition as it relates to what you're creating and putting out into the world, and having more faith in it and knowing that if you're led to it, it's for a reason, and really just starting to move forward from that place of trusting what you're led to. Later on Thursday, the emotional focus shifts onto your day to day work, structuring your routines, your schedules, and also on your physical health. So there could be something that you're wanting to change about your day to day. Maybe again, work and career is a part of that, and you could get some clarity around whatever that is and how to step forward on with it or move forward on it. That leads us into Friday, and there's kind of some emotional tension between your physical and mental health. There's maybe something that is brought to the surface that is illuminated within your mindset that you're realizing you need to shift and just look at things differently, as well, moving forward, as to not take old versions of yourself into this new thing. Saturday, there could be some emotional challenges or conflict between what's going on with work, your day-to-day work, maybe even physical health, and again, what's healing about your perspective or your belief systems. There could be some major triggering around that midday on Saturday, but it could also propel you into a positive change in career. It kind of feels like work is maybe flowing or ideas around work are flowing, even though there's some emotional trigger that's brought up, um, as well, but it feels like a breakthrough, like, the breakdown happens before you get the breakthrough, right? And that kind of leads us into Sunday, where the breakthrough is in full swing. And the sobering clarity is here about how to move forward, um, and really step into this new life that has been forming for you, Leo. So that's your week ahead. Let me know how it resonates. I love hearing from y'all about how accurate these are for you. So let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Virgo Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your day to day, errands, communication, mindsets, who you're talking to, where you're going on a daily basis. There could be something about that you might be really busy with people or something at the start of the week, and that also kind of adds tension to what's changing about your belief systems, your mindset. Um, Maybe some international trip as well, as if that applies. But there's something that you're really kind of challenged to look at and see differently. And that might come back to a subconscious belief or a spiritual practice, to kind of revert to in order to get more clarity or clear whatever emotionally this is that feels a little heavy on Monday. Tuesday, the emotional focus shifts into your home. You could be really hermiting, you could be focused on your home, changing something about it. And it could emotionally challenge something about relationships as well. Like you have to kind of have maybe an uncomfortable conversation with somebody, maybe about home or family, or this could actually be a good day to work through like childhood wounds or something. Um, to get kind of more clarity on how that shows up and what patterns to clear, as it relates to that. That's kind of the energy on Tuesday. As we head into Wednesday, it feels like whatever, you're emotionally focused on in your home, or there's an emotional drive to like clean up something, or I don't know, change something, go on a trip, plan a trip. It feels like that positively heals something about money, about resources with you, about shared resources, and further solidifies in this new identity that you've been stepping into as it relates to money and how you handle it, what you do with it, um, investments, debt, taxes as it relates to that as well. Could maybe be some big childhood like belief or wound is brought up, and there's just like this clicking in of like, oh, that's what that was the whole time, and I just realized, and like now I can shift it, and now I can love it and release it and see it differently, right? And move forward into the new version of you as it relates to this kind of stuff. Thursday, there could be something again kind of emotionally challenging about home or family or childhood stuff that is maybe directly conflicting or challenging your ability to commit to or be disciplined with something in relationships. Doesn't have to be a romantic partner, but it could be. There's something that there's just emotional conflict between home and somebody in your life or relationships in general on Thursday. But that, it's just kind of like a small frustration that forces you to maybe look at something differently or shift something that needed to be shifted maybe a long time ago and it was put on the back burner. And then later on Thursday, the emotional focus moves to your creative passions, and how that shows up in your work. There could be something about that too that brings some clarity, more so even about money, about shared resources, where it's coming, what you're doing with it, all that kind of stuff as well. And then Friday, we have Saturn moving into your area of shared resources. So there's a big need for you to really recommit yourself to what's going on with money. Maybe taking on new projects or charging more for what you do, that kind of thing. Because it feels like there's also this tug of war and tension between your creative projects and your ability to expand in new visions or long-term goals, community or social media as well. And so there's a need for you to kind of bring more balance to that structurally. Maybe even having more of a scheduled outlet for your creative passions that aren't tied into career, so that your whole life doesn't revolve around work. Um, yeah, now that Saturn is joining Neptune in your area of shared resources, there's a whole new chapter beginning there for you. A new story you get to write related to what came up last May and summer that got put on the back burner a little bit. As we head into the weekend, Saturday, there could be something emotionally challenging with what's going on creatively, maybe with romance, maybe with dating as well, if that applies, and kind of challenging an old wound with resources, maybe, or there's could be something challenging that happens between those two areas of your life that you are realizing, like, oh, I don't approach this the same way that I used to. You have more faith, you have more trust than you used to, and that's really solidifying into your identity. As we end out the week, there's huge realization around that, especially on Sunday. There could be a big emotional transformation and breakthrough as it relates to work, physical health, maybe even, if that applies, and kind of what you're doing on a daily basis to take better care of those two parts of yourself, have work life balance. Um, all that kind of stuff. So it feels like there's a big breakthrough that's also triggered from that in your mindset, and seeing things differently moving forward as a new version of yourself with a whole new perspective of life. So that is your week ahead, Virgo. Let me know how that resonates in the comments. I always love to hear from y'all on how accurate these are. So let me know, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Libra Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your money. There could be some big breakthrough um with money that happens for you at the start of the week, maybe related to what you're doing on social media, how you're sharing yourself with community or building a community related to your long-term goals and visions. There's kind of like tension and challenge between your area of money, your area of shared resources, and your area of creative passions. So maybe, changing your goals or getting bigger goals, allowing yourself to dream a little bit more than you would have before, is bringing in this newfound motivation and inspiration to create something and really put it out into the world. Maybe even something that kind of got put on the back burner. There's a lot of motivation towards that at the start of the week. Tuesday, the emotional focus shifts into your day to day, your where you're going, who you're talking to, running errands. But early on Tuesday, that could challenge something about your work. That could challenge something about your physical health. Like maybe you wake up Tuesday and it's just such a busy day. You maybe could run the risk of neglecting your yoga practice or your meditation or whatever it is that you have on a daily basis that grounds you, that you've really been stepping into a lot more commitment and discipline with over the last 2 to 3 years. There could be something around that that really just is challenged on Tuesday. Maybe even food too. Habits with health in general are a little bit emotionally challenged because you're pulled to um, social stuff or running errands kind of thing. Wednesday, there could be something about that, whatever came up on Tuesday, that really kind of heals something within a relationship, whether that's romantic or otherwise. It could really heal some old identity wound with people in general, and maybe you realize like, oh, okay, I really don't deserve to be treated this way. I don't deserve these types of people in my life or this type of person in my life. And there's kind of maybe a clearing that happens because you're realizing how supported you are by other people in your life. That's really healthy example of support and people you want around you. So there's some sort of like healing around that clicks into place emotionally. And as we head into Thursday, early on Thursday, there could be something about that though that also again challenges your ability to commit to your daily practices or commit to work. Or commit to these new routines with health that you're establishing. Again, the middle of the week just feels like this kind of tug of war between balancing your day to day and balancing like these routines that you've learned to be really disciplined with. On Later on Thursday, the emotional focus shifts into your home. So there could be a big emotional focus on your home, getting things organized or structured with your home or family, maybe even. And it could challenge something about a relationship or somebody in your life as well, and maybe create the dissolvement of an illusion maybe was there with somebody or a certain person in your life that challenges your ability to emotionally focus on your home and structure in the ways that you're realizing you need. As we head into Friday, there could be some kind of sudden startling clarity with relationships. And that could also come because of what happened maybe on Thursday with home. There's also this push and pull on Friday between your needs in home and structures and foundations in home, and career and how you're wanting to expand in career. So again, there's a lot of focus this week, Libra, on like really solidifying in your schedule or your routines, so that when life gets kind of crazy and sweeps you up, you don't get swept up by it, and you still have these grounded things that are structural that are going to remain when other things kind of get crazy or busy. Saturday, the emotional focus in your home kind of challenges some maybe old identity wounds in a relationship. But it's also like there was healing that happened around this earlier in the week. So this could be something that is happens to show you like it's challenging, and it might even happen to show you like, oh, I'm not that person anymore. I don't handle this the same way. Like you've solidified in this new identity. And when you're triggered in the ways that you used to be, you don't handle it the same way. You've shifted the identity that's there around it. Does that make sense? It also feels like that could create some positive shifts with money or shifts with like shared resources. And maybe even it kind of sounds counterintuitive, but whatever happens as we get into this weekend could really bring you some more clarity around how to move forward with everything else. Especially on Sunday, as we have the emotional focus shifting into your creative passions, and causing a big transformation there emotionally. And also, there could be this kind of breakthrough related to that and money, resources, things of that nature, contributing positively to what's going on with work and really moving forward with all these things in the ways you've been wanting to. So that's your week ahead, Libra. Let me know how that resonates in the comments. I love to hear from y'all on how accurate these are. So let me know, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Scorpio Rising. We start the week off with the emotional focus on you, but that also puts tension on something that's changing or been changing about your relationships, maybe the people around you, maybe your standards in relationships or with people. And both of those things could be massively triggering or challenging something about home that you're focused on shifting as well. But as we head into Tuesday, the emotional focus moves onto your money, onto your resources, and it challenges your area of creative passions. Could also be dating or romance as that applies. I feel like whatever this is going to positively affect the change that you're wanting to make with home or family, but it could also really challenge you to look at money differently, creative passions or projects differently, maybe really release something or launch something you've been wanting to do or been building over the last 2 to 3 years. It's like just do the thing and it will end up better than you could have expected. Wednesday, there's really some harmony between healing something about work and money. The emotional focus is still on your money and it is boosting, harmonizing with the triggering of wounds related to an identity you've maybe had with work or career. Maybe you're stepping into a whole new work life or what you do daily to make money. And it could really positively affect your money on Wednesday, or there could be some big emotional shift or clarity related to really what you're stepping into. Um, as it relates to all of those things. Could also apply to physical health. It's almost like you change something about what you're doing for work and maybe you don't have to work as many hours or like physical toll on your body. And so it's like, it's actually healing for you to be doing this new thing that you've been stepping into. Early on Thursday, there could be something about that though that really emotionally challenges you to adapt some sort of schedule or routine with this creative project or passion that you're stepping into. Um, that's all I'm gonna say about that. And later on Thursday, the emotional focus moves onto your day to day, your errands, your communication as well. So there could be some new communication style that you're having to um set a structure or routine around, or like maybe putting affirmations in your phone of like like success affirmations or something related to what you're doing, to like remember to talk to yourself positively and differently than you had been before. um yeah. As we get into Friday, we have Saturn moving into your area of work. So it is really time to, if you haven't yet, step into the new direction with work, with day to day routines, with health, maybe even, and really getting on that workout practice or really, becoming that, content creator or whatever it is, and really moving forward with these things that you maybe have been sitting on a little bit too long. There's a really big need to move into the direction. Like it's time. Everything is propelling you there. And there's things about relationships and home that could be challenged all week. But I do feel by the end of the week, there's big breakthroughs that come from that. On Friday, even there could be something that is triggered in your mindset or your communication style, again, related to whatever this is. And it could also, again, kind of bring up those identity wounds or triggers with work. Um, Maybe a little bit of like imposter syndrome or something like that. Kind of midday on Saturday, but I do feel like again, it's happening as so that you further clean up these things in your mindset and you don't take them with you into what you're doing. And then that could create some positive shifts in relationships. Like you could meet somebody new that kind of changes your worldview, um, or helps you or supports you in stepping into these new beliefs, this new way of communicating to yourself and others. We end out the week with a big emotional transformation in home. This could be really stepping into, moving into a new home. This could be stepping into a new relationship with childhood wounds or family. Um, yeah, it feels like the energy of a big breakthrough between home, your foundations, and your relationships moving forward. So that's your week ahead, Scorpio. Let me know how that resonates in the comments. I love to hear from y'all on how accurate these are. So let me know, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Sagittarius Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus in your subconscious. There could be something really brewing for you emotionally underneath the surface. There could be something about that that's challenging work or challenging, kind of putting tension on your ability to maybe change something about work or creating even a little bit more chaos in your work or health in some way. But it is calling for you to come into a greater sense of balance with work and how you take care of your physical and mental health. Tuesday, there's a little bit of an emotional renewal that occurs as the emotional focus shifts into your area of you, but it also challenges something about home. So there could be something that you wanting to focus on you or do something for you could challenge something about your living situation or your home or family in some way. There's It's kind of like this push and pull, but it also forces you to evolve in ways that you've maybe been wanting to or needing to. Like if you've been attached to a home or a living situation, this could really force you to evolve how you view that, and kind of flow more with the rhythms of the universe and where you're being kind of led to or pushed to at this time, as opposed to staying comfortable and rooted in where you have been. As we head into Wednesday, there is a big opportunity for emotional healing. Maybe what's ever been coming up with dating, romance, creative passions, that has been healing, your sense of self. And kind of, how do I say, forming you into a new version of yourself as it relates to those things, and how you've handled those things in the past is no longer how you handle them now. And so there's a big integration of healing around that happens on Wednesday. That maybe is kind of like a breakthrough, and you realize, like, wow, I really have changed the way that I approach this and the way that I handle this. It's like a moment of being proud of yourself. Thursday, there could be something emotionally challenging that happens between you, your sense of self, and your home. Sorry, could affect career, but it really happens through your living situation or your home. Um, there's maybe something that you've wanted to like stay in or be disciplined with or committed to as it relates to home, and it's kind of appearing as something that is challenging to you or maybe your expansion and your growth. And so there's a need to just kind of look at it differently. And yeah, it can really propel you into an evolution, and of your mindset as well, and how you're viewing it, and maybe push you into a new direction you didn't expect to have to take so soon. Friday, the emotional focus shifts onto your money. So there's a big need for you emotionally to kind of structure your money, or maybe revamping your budget or something that could challenge what's going on with romance or dating, or your intuitive abilities or creative passions as well. There could be something that, those two areas kind of force you to evolve and change something to further match where you're headed and where you're moving forward with things, and especially with like dating, romance, as well as creative passions and pursuits. Um, yeah, there's the big need to evolve something there. And it feels like Saturday is kind of where that all starts to further integrate and further be embodied, because there could be something really triggering on Saturday with money, emotionally, that triggers something about creative passions or work, or dating or romance as well. But you're beginning this whole new chapter with creative passions, pursuits, or dating. And so it's like you can't handle it the way that you used to. There's no more like deluding yourself. um, you have like sobering clarity now, and you have to move forward with that. And that's how we really end out the week. And there could be some big emotional transformation, especially on Sunday, as it relates to your communication, your belief systems, how you're viewing life, as well as kind of where you're going and who you're talking to on a daily basis. A lot could be changing for you really quickly, maybe related to your home or a move, um, to support you in this new chapter. So that is your week ahead, Sagittarius. Let me know how that resonates in the comments. I love to hear from y'all on how accurate these are for you. So let me know, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Capricorn Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your long term goals, visions, social media. It's adding tension to changes you're experiencing or wanting to make in your creative pursuits, passions, maybe dating as well. And there could be something about that that affects your money that you're really wanting to act on and step into. Tuesday, the emotional focus shifts into your subconscious. There could be something of revealed to you about your mindset or your communication styles, and maybe something you didn't quite see clearly before. And now there's a lot of illumination around on how to move forward and how to move into a new direction that better suits you and where you're headed. Especially on Wednesday, as we have um, the emotional focus that's happening in your subconscious, in your mental health, kind of propelling you to again take action on something related to money or your creative passions to step into a big new direction. Also on Wednesday, there could, because of that, be some healing that solidifies, maybe related to home or family. Stuff you maybe didn't see that was kind of hidden in your subconscious has been illuminated for a reason, so that you heal it and you move forward differently into a new identity, a new sense of self, not taking those things with you from the past into the now and the future. Thursday, there could be something triggering again that comes up, maybe with subconscious related to communication. There's been a new pattern of how you go through life that you've been stepping into, and there could be something emotionally challenging that on Thursday related to those subconscious wounds or beliefs that have been coming up. And it's really just staying disciplined to your spiritual practices or what you have to work through these triggers or things as they come up. And choosing to remember faith is a huge one. Um, Instead of relying on the mind to guide you moving forward. Later on Thursday, the emotional focus shifts into you. This is the energy of an emotional renewal. So it's kind of like you come out of a fog. There could also be something about that at the like midday on Thursday that kind of challenges what's going on with home or with family, some new direction you've been stepping into with those things. It could really challenge you to remain committed and disciplined to what you're changing, as opposed to being disciplined to the past. Um, as we get into Friday, there's a brand new chapter beginning for you in home, with family. Um, and there could be something about that kind of adds tension to your ability to expand with people or in relationships. This could be romantic, it could be just anyone around you. There's kind of this tug of war on Friday that happens between you and between your relationships. And again, it's really kind of pushing you into your new life, and this new chapter with home, with family, um, and how you balance all those things to not neglect yourself. Saturday, there could be something about what's going on with you emotionally that maybe challenges or triggers something with home or family. Again, it's really just a kind of final hurrah of old wounds related to an old, outdated identity. But I think also it's going to show you, like, I'm no longer that person anymore, not operating from that place, and further solidify in this new sense of self and identity, especially as we end out the week on Sunday. And there's a big emotional transformation that happens for you in your area of resources, in your area of money. So this could pertain to something you're stepping into, a new chapter, with work, with creative passions or projects, a way of making money that's different than what you had been doing before, and really taking action on it. Like there could be something like a something that challenges you to really act, and forces you into a kind of breakthrough around all this so that you move forward. So that's how we end out your week, Capricorn. Let me know how that resonates in the comments. I love to hear from you on how accurate these are for you. So let me know, and I will see you next week. Hi, Aquarius Rising. What a week this is going to be for you. um, we started off with the emotional focus on your career, on your public image, your reputation, adding attention to a change you're wanting to make with home or with family. And both of those things are kind of challenging you and what's going on with you. Um, yeah, but it feels like as we end out this week, it's really like a pressure cooker building. And by the end of the week, there's massive, the pressure releases and there's massive change in terms of you, your identity, and how you're moving forward. But on Tuesday, the emotional focus moves into your long term goals, visions, community, social media, friendships, and that puts tension on and kind of challenges what's going on with money and what new direction you're headed with money. So there could be something you're really having to look at around money, long-term goals and visions as it relates to all of that, and maybe pursue some new creative thing to positively benefit your money and really step forward into a new direction with all of that if you have been putting it off or not doing it. Or this could just be a way that you're evolving what's going on with money and what new direction you're headed with that. Kind of like you get more clarity on what to do or how to move forward with a certain thing that you've been wanting to maybe for a while. And then it feels like on Wednesday, there's a chance for some emotional healing as it relates to that, and maybe your mindset or your belief systems, with all that's going on and stepping into this new version of you. It feels like there's more healing that happens emotionally towards all of that, and maybe it comes down to your communication style, how you communicate to yourself, how you communicate to others, your belief systems that play into that, and really just yeah, stepping forward into this new version of you, with all those foundational changes that kind of contribute to this, new identity. Thursday, there could be something emotionally challenging between a friend or, social media or a long-term goal and vision, that again kind of challenges your money and your ability to commit to or be disciplined with something in money. But again, it's like don't let these triggers or challenges kind of bring out an old version of yourself. Like you've done so much work on changing. And so it's just important you remember that and you approach these things from how new you approaches them, not the old you. Then later on Thursday, the emotional focus moves into your subconscious, and there's kind of this emotional fogginess with what's going on in mental health. There could be things that just aren't super clear to you. It's a great time to like kind of meditate or spend more time in meditation with your spiritual practices in order to get more clarity, kind of go in your subconscious or go underneath the surface to see what's going on. But this is kind of like the big, how do I say, like the I don't want to say calm before the storm, but it's like you're going within before you really fully expand and transform in a major way and step into the new in a way that you haven't before. Like it started to form last summer and now it's really solidifying. And by the end of the week, it kind of all starts to make a lot of sense. Especially on Saturday, there might be something emotionally that triggers you related to that. But again, it's just kind of forcing you to evolve and see things differently, and get more clarity on what you need to balance with work, with physical and mental health as well. And then we end out your week, like I said, with a huge emotional transformation and renewal of the self and really feeling more solidified in this new chapter and beginning and how you're moving forward with it. There could also be a breakthrough that comes around that and what's going on with home or family um, on Sunday as well. So that's how we end out the week for you, Aquarius. Let me know how that resonates in the comments. I love to hear from y'all on how accurate these are for you. So let me know, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Pisces Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your beliefs, your mindset, your perspective, adding attention to what's going on in your inner talk, communication, maybe even day-to-day errands or siblings, what you're doing on a daily basis, where you're going, who you're talking to. And both of those things are challenging the the metamorphosis you're in, the big cocoon of subconscious change and transformation that you're in. So there's a lot of kind of inner work that's coming up for you at the start of the week, and you're really being pushed to evolve these fundamental parts of you. Your internal communication, your subconscious, like really going deep within the surface of what's there to excavate it. Especially on Monday, there's something that's really kind of triggered to come up around all of that so that you evolve. Tuesday, the emotional focus moves into your career. So there could be a big emotional drive to launch something or to focus on something in your career that you're doing. There could be some clarity that comes around that and with money, but that can also challenge the direction that you're headed with you and this new sense of self that you've been stepping into. There's a lot of solidification in a new identity this week, and really just a whole new like level of maturity and sense of self that builds for you and really sets in as we end out the week and we're beginning this new cycle with Saturn. Um, Wednesday, the emotional focus is still on your career, but that could also bring some, like I said, challenges to what's going on with you. And because of that, there could be some unexpected healing of wounds, identity wounds with money. Like maybe your financial picture has really changed, or you're really wanting it to change and realizing, like, okay, I need to view myself as this person. um it's all kind of about how you view yourself, right? And stepping into that new version of you. So there could be maybe somebody you meet, or somebody really mirrors to you how much work that you've done, and how much you've really changed your identity and stepped into a new version of yourself on Wednesday. And that could just confirm and kind of validate this way that you're really like coming out of the cocoon as a freaking butterfly is the best way I can describe it. But as we head into Thursday, early on Thursday, there could be something triggering or something challenging between work, career, and again, your ability to really be disciplined with this new sense of self and new identity. Um, I don't want to say new identity, but you know what I mean, of like this new version of you that you're stepping into that really um doesn't take shit anymore. It's very much like you can't hide from your intuition anymore. You can't hide from what you know anymore. So there's something yeah, there could be something challenging about that in career on Thursday that maybe kind of propels you to speak up for yourself more than you would have before, and again solidifies in this new identity. Later on Thursday, there could be something emotionally challenging between your long-term goals, vision, social media, and money. There could be some breakthrough that comes through around all of that, as the emotional focus now is in your long-term goals and visions. And maybe because of what is challenging with money, you're like, okay, I need to revamp my budget or change my vision of what I have for this thing and the structures and systems I have in place to build whatever this is. And now there's a whole new chapter with money beginning for you, really in a solid way. It started last summer, but really as we head into this weekend, Valentine's Day, actually, there's there's this new chapter that's unignorable, and there's sobering clarity around it all of a sudden, and it's really time to move forward with it and step into it. And there could be something also on Saturday about your long-term goals and visions emotionally that challenges you to really again further solidify in this new identity and this healed version of you. And as we end out the week on Sunday, there's a big emotional transformation in your subconscious related to money, and that kind of supports this new beginning that you're stepping into. And there could be something about that that also challenges you to evolve again communication styles, and really solidify in all of these changes. I feel like I've said that a bunch of times. So that's really how it feels as we end out your week, Pisces, solidifying in all these changes because it's a lot. But they're becoming more solid and embodied and integrated than ever before. So that is your week ahead, Pisces. Let me know how that resonates with you in the comments. I'd love to hear from you on how accurate these are for you. So let me know, and I will see you next week. Wow, is next week a whirlwind? We have the new moon eclipse in Aquarius, the first eclipse in Aquarius of the year. So, pretty big deal. It's also the Lunar New Year. So, we will really feel a big new energy emerging as we get closer to and on the day of the 17th and then afterwards. 3 days later, we have the Saturn Neptune conjunction in Aries. Again, I did a deep dive class on this in my membership. You can watch the replay of the class there, and there's a comment section so you can post your chart, ask questions, get answers by me and other community members. It, this is it. Like this, the rocket takes off. From February 17th to February 20th. It's like, I hope you were resting leading up to this point in 2026 because you're gonna need to be well rested the way things are gonna move forward and move forward very quickly and just continue to do so as we get into March and as we get into April. It really all massively takes off the week of the 16th. So that's a little sneak peek of next week. It's fine. It's all divine. Trust in your season. It's happening for a reason. Trust in your process. I didn't know I was going to end this with so many quotables, but like that's the major energy right now. Really trust in your process, where you're being led. You don't have to know the how. You don't have to have all the answers figured out. They will, the stepping stones emerge as you need them. Trust in what you're led to do when you're led to do it, and it will lead you to everything that's meant for you. And yeah, that's gonna be sooner than you think. All right, that is what I have for y'all. Let me know how this resonated with you in the comments. If you're feeling this big energy, I've been feeling this for months. But if you're really feeling it now more than ever, let me know as well. So that's it for now. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.